Hello everyone, I hope you've been well. Today I'm going to do a part 2 where I chat about some of my cosplay photo and photo shoots and share some funny or interesting stories behind them. Jumping into it with my Grogu costume I made. We wanted to shoot these at a local kind of garden lake area. All the fall colours were really beautiful. We did manage to get some really lovely photos, but it actually started raining, and like really raining. The costume I made, the material, it was really obvious when you could see even just like a few speckles of rain, so we actually had to stop the photo shoot early. I remember at the time I was really disappointed with it. I mean, like I said, luckily I still got some good ones with the fall leaves, but it still really sucked having to cut it early. What I did end up doing though was setting up a backdrop and just taking some cute little portraits as well. That's a good little tip. If weather doesn't permit you to take some photos, put the costume on anyway, grab some shots indoors and just enjoy being that character. Next up is my Red Hood costume. Now I shot this at the train station that I mentioned in my last video when I was Oliver Queen. Luckily no police came this time. However, the time we usually go when it's, nice and dark, and that means the station isn't necessarily that busy, which is great. However, there was some kind of meeting going on. The way the layout was is that there was kind of this room where you walked between to get to and from the station, and you could go over the bridge going over, and then for some reason I don't know if it was like they were just using the room or what the meeting was about, but there was a bunch of people, I could hear them, there was an open door, and so basically we had to go past it a few times. So what I would do is I would just like really quickly scamper through it because I did not want anyone to see me if possible, and then every time I could hear them or hear someone stand up, I'd freeze and just wait, and then they would sit back down or continue in the room. Luckily I managed to avoid all of them, but it was definitely a little bit funny watching me, especially dressed up as Red Hood, just running back and forth trying not to be seen. Now this next one requires a little bit of context. I do have a lovely puppy dog called Loki. Yes, he is mischievous as all hell. He's a Malamute German Shepherd mix, so he's huge, loves running around, very playful. And we actually took him to one of our photo shoots. We went to a local lake, and then I was in my Melina costume. It was actually really awesome because it was super windy and overcast, and because it had rained so much, everything was lovely and green, so it genuinely felt like I was in Elden Ring, so that was amazing. But what isn't shown in the photos is that running like crazy, because Loki adores water and creeks and all of that, and he will just run in them and run around and splash everywhere. So here I am in my, my somewhat pristine costume, trying not to get wet as he jumps towards me to say hello, and I'll have to no, don't touch me, or Dad will be taking a picture and he just zooms past behind it. So that was really funny as well. The same thing happened when I was actually taking photos in the backyard with my Marika costume. It was kind of the same thing. He always gets really excited to see what we're doing, and so here I am, just trying to flip my dress around, get some lovely shots, posing with the flowers, all that usual stuff. And then yeah, Loki's just running around like a crazy person afterwards. I do have one video of me, we were trying to just get some slow motion running, and I kind of start running and Loki's like, yeah, me too, and he just starts chasing after as well. It's very sweet, but it's a little bit funny, me trying to these lovely photos, and then I'm like, yeah, there was a crazy dog running around that whole time as well. This is a slightly older one, but back in the day when I did my very first James T. Kirk costume, which was amazing, really random, but we shot them at the botanical gardens in the city, and they had this, it's a greenhouse, but since I was younger, and I don't know where or why this started, but Dad always referred to it as a spaceship, and so that's just how I naturally refer to it. And if you're looking outside in, it kind of does look like it's got that huge round half circle side to it, and then I guess the white paneling, there's something about it that is a little bit alienish, but I kind of thought, oh, clearly I should shoot my Kirk at the spaceship, right? And so I ended up doing that. I didn't really know how it was going to go, but it was so much fun. Like, some of the photos turned out amazing, and I remember having so much fun with Photoshop as well, and just adding all those details. We ended up shooting inside of the greenhouse too, and I don't know, there was something about it that like jungle paradise on one of the starships. Even thinking now, it reminds me of like that greenhouse in June as well. But that was also a really fun photo to edit. I loved how they turned out. But yeah, there's a cute little, I know it's a very inside nod anyway, but it's really cute being like, oh yeah, you know, it's me posing in front of what I call the spaceship. So that was really fun. Oh, this one is so wholesome. When I did my Ib costume, Ib is one of my favourite RPG horror games, and I was so keen to shoot her. I mean, it would be really cool to shoot it at a gallery in maybe one day, but that would take a lot of nerves, and I'm potentially a little bit too introverted for that. But this was the next best thing. We shot it at my grandparents' house. My grandparents, and especially my grandma, has like all of these beautiful, just like very grandma stuff. Like, it sounds weird, but hopefully you know what I mean, where she's got this lovely room with like the dining table and the dried flowers and beautiful, you know, teacups and teapots and all of that kind of stuff, and just that really regal atmosphere really suited Ib super well. And my grandparents are lovely. They've always supported me doing, you know, my funny little costumes, and they love seeing the photos. So it was kind of fun having them there with us as well, because suddenly, you know, it's not just Dad and I, but like my grandparents are looking around and watching me pose and having fun with it all, and they were so lovely. They were like, oh, you need to pose with this, or here you go, you can use this, and they got me a bunch of things. Oh, it was so lovely. I have done another shoot with them before, and I should do it again. It was very fun. I shot a holo costume from Spice and Wolf way back in the day now, and we took photos at where my mum keeps her horse, and they have a really lovely kind of huge yard. So we got some beautiful photos. I had like my little basket of apples, and we actually took some photos with my mum's horse Tex. He has showed up in a couple of my other photos. Recently did Princess Buttercup from Princess Bride, which was so fun as well. But anyway, Tex definitely was the star of the show. And I don't know, these photos are just so wholesome to me. Like, I know my mum really likes them as well, because it's cool seeing me and then Tex, but I don't know, just like with my little ears and Tex's colouring, like it was just suited so well, and it definitely had that beautiful autumn spring vibes as well. And yeah, these photos turned out so beautiful, and I always have fond memories looking back at them, and it was really fun. Oh boy, so when the new Spider-Man No Way Home was first kind of started advertising, I was like, okay, what if I cosplayed Doctor Strange? And then I kind of thought about it, and then it happened. Look, there's a lot of costumes where it's a little bit like just last minute decision. What if I did this, and then suddenly it's happened? I reused a lot of materials I already had, which I think is what kind of ended up being the main reason I did it, is I was like, oh, I need to buy like one or two things. The rest of the stuff I have, and there you go. Anyway, in the trailer, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, they're like on the train kind of back and forth, and I thought, that's kind of cool. And so we ended up shooting this at a local university. I got some really cool kind of train shots, and they had some nice architecture which really suited the more, I guess, city vibe of Doctor Strange. But it was at a university, so there were university students walking around. We ended up doing it on like a holiday, so the campus wasn't packed by any means, but there were still people or teachers walking around and people catching the train, and here I am just in my little Doctor Strange uniform. It wasn't too bad, and it's not like we got like hassled or anything, but I don't know if I'd do it again, just because as much as I love dressing up, I think, and like conventions are a bit different because there's heaps of you, but if it's just a location shoot with like just me and my dad, or me and whoever I'm photographing with, I do get a little bit nervous. Like, it's just a little bit more in the spotlight, so I probably wouldn't shoot there again, but I'm very pleased that I did it, and I wouldn't change it, but it was certainly a little bit nerve-wracking. This one's really interesting. I am super big fan of Death Stranding, and when I first got into it, I actually did a look inspired by Ludens, which was a song that Bring Me to the Horizon had written for Death Stranding. It's a really awesome film clip. I encourage you to check it out, and there's lots of interesting looks. But there's this lovely one where it's like got the red kind of makeup, and red is one of my favorite colors, so I was like, all right, let's just have a bit of fun, try it out. And I ended up doing the look, and I think it definitely turned out definitely that slightly more post-apocalyptic, but really interesting as well. And then after I did this one of my mum's friends is an artist. She does amazing paintings, and she actually painted that picture of me for one of her exhibitions. The really interesting thing is she kind of added to it a little bit. Obviously the theme that was going on around then was COVID, and kind of that discussion and whatnot, especially in the art world, was quite prominent. That art was kind of about like, you know, staying safe and this idea of like isolation and whatnot. And so she kind of added like a mask to then my character that I had done, and it turned out really well. But I think the funny thing to me was like, because she doesn't know anything about Death Stranding, I think she just liked the look of the image, but it just weirdly fit in really well with the themes of Death Stranding, you know, this idea of like isolation and then getting close to people and that fear, and then kind of all of those philosophical questions that Death Stranding brings up. The fact that she had accidentally pulled some of that was really cool to me, and I remember telling her about it, and just like, I was super pleased with how she'd kind of interpreted it and how it matched Death Stranding so well. And then my last story for today is about my Jasna costume from the Stormlight Archive. This was one of those ones where I saw the cover of Oathbringer and I was like, oh my gosh, Jasna looks so cool. You know, I kind of have a few materials I could use. And then, yeah, similar to my Doctor Strange, I kind of blinked and then suddenly I had the costume. But the really cool thing about this is that the sword is bloody enormous. I had a bunch of warbler scraps, which is what it's predominantly made from, as well as some foam and a dowel as well, and then just primed and painted. But the thing about this sword is that it's not the most stable, because I really wanted to include the ripples in the center like it does on the cover. There isn't necessarily like a strong base going through it, because that's just made from warbler, and so I don't think I can physically hold it upright. I mean, first of all, it's really heavy, but I don't think it can support itself. So all of the photos I have with that sword is me like holding it like that or resting it somewhere. It's not me holding it upright, because I literally can't. Don't get me wrong, it looks fantastic for the photos, but yeah, it's a little bit funny when looking at it, because yeah, coincidentally, there are no photos of me holding it up. Alright, and those are the stories I have to share today. I hope you enjoyed listening to them, had a bit of a laugh like last time, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye!